Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Let There Be Talk. This is Monday, February 7th, episode number 632 here today. It is New Music Celebration on Let There Be Talk today with a brand new band, Naked Gypsy Queens. My guest is the lead guitar player of that band. His name is Cade Pickering, and I think you're going to really enjoy this episode and also their new EP coming out this Friday, February 11th, Georgiana. I first heard about the band. Somebody sent me over this video about a month ago called If Your Name is New York, Then Mine's Amsterdam. And I was like, that's kind of an interesting song title. Checked it out. Somebody was like, yeah, here's some new rock. Check it out. And that's always a gamble. I do have a kind of an eclectic taste. I don't like your standard, riff rock that would just come over the generic stuff. So I'm always fired up when something hits me and I'm like, oh, this is great. And that's what Naked Gypsy Queens did. I listened to the song, watched the video, listened to it about 10 times. I was like, this is a fantastic ballad. Dove into a couple of the other songs that have been pre-release, Georgiana and Down to the Devil. I was like, oh, we got a great rock band here. So I immediately reached out and got Cade Pickering on the show. These guys are a young rock and roll band living out in Nashville, getting ready to tour all of 2022. Looking forward to seeing them. Same team that did the first two Greta Van Fleet, the EP and the record. They're the same team that did this band's EP, and man, that's a smoking team out there because this EP sounds fantastic. The songs are great. So, oh man, I don't know. If you're a rock band, I would try to reach out to that team. It was the Kid Rock guitar player and a couple other guys, and they're just drumming up some serious kick-ass rock records. So, very cool to have Cade on. And do yourself a favor. Dig into their EP this Friday. And if you like it, spread the word, grassroots style. Tell everybody. That's how these bands get out there. Because it is a grind to play rock and roll right now. If you don't have any kind of rock radio or any kind of buzz or underground stuff happening to where everybody's talking about it, you're just out there spinning wheels. So if something's great and you like it, tell somebody. No matter if it's this band or a comedian or a film or whatever it is, you got to get the word out there because the world is loaded with so much content. What are you going to do? You don't have time to check it all out. I want to tell you right now, we're about to give away another leather jacket, Standard and Strange and myself. We're going to do the drawing this week. So get your email in right away, standardandstrange.com/Delray. If you want to win a great free leather. They're out there in Oakland. They got a place in New York City that just opened, and they are one of the all-time favorite shops of mine for denim, leather, boots, everything. And just two solid humans, Jeremy and Neil. I just can't even believe how great these guys are. standardandstrange.com/Delray. Enter your email. They're not going to sell it. They're not doing any of that. They just like to form a community of people that are into denim, leather, cool handmade stuff. Standardandstrange.com/Delray. All right. Thank you, everyone who wished me a happy birthday this week. It means the world to me. I'm 56, and it feels good when people reach out, give you some positive love on your birthday. I'm not going to lie. Some people like to keep it a secret. And I enjoy a little love out there on your birthday. Feel good. And thank you so much. Some big love for some new Patreoners out there. Paul Senard, Bob Bangers and Mosh, and Juan Hernandez, brand new Patreoners. I've got, I think, 120 bonus episodes out there, 114, something like that. Patreon.com/Dean Del Rey. Tons of bonus content and all kinds of Zooming. I'm going to try to Zoom this afternoon or later this evening here, Monday night, for some good times. I love seeing the Zoom family out there. I'm missing a lot of them. I don't get to, see some of them because they're in different time zones, like my man Tommy out there in Ireland. So anyway, join the Patreon. It greatly helps all of the work I'm doing with Cactus Radio Network, my podcast network. We got At Home with Byron Katie, The Grail, Let There Be Talk, and those 13 episodes, now the infamous Dark Fonzies. So thank you for all of that. Website is loaded with tour dates right now. I'm getting ready to go to Campbell, California here next week. That's up there by San Jose. Hope you guys can make it. Get tickets, please, in advance. From there, I go to Las Vegas for February 21st through the 27th. I'll be at the Comedy Cellar in Las Vegas for 1 week. And there's a Fort Collins weekend up there right now, and a Escondido at the Grand Comedy Club. That's March 4th and 5th. So all the tour dates are up. There's not a lot of them. I hope to be getting some more tour dates. That's my main goal in 2022, is just to try to get more tour dates out there. People say come here and there. I'll go anywhere if I can get booked. So DeanDelRey.com. That is where the tickets are. That's where the merchandise is, all the cool t-shirts and hoodies. And that is, I guess that's about it. Have a fantastic week. I'll be at the Comedy Store this week, tomorrow night, and some other nights. I'm going to go see one of the great, great new bands that I love, Houndmouth, on Saturday. I know I said I'm not going to any live concerts, but I am going to concerts if it's a band that I've never seen and am fired up about. And Houndmouth has one of the great, great new records out right now. Here he is. Let's get into it. Some new rock and roll. Thank you, people. Keep the candles lit. Cade Pickering, Naked Gypsy Queens. All right, what's happening, man? Introduce yourself, my brother.
Hey, my name is Cade Pickering, and I'm the lead guitarist for Naked Gypsy Queens.
How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm good, man. Just getting up here in Los Angeles. Where are you at? In Tennessee?
I'm in Nashville right now, yeah.
You guys live in Nashville?
We do, yeah. We've been, when we were in high school, we lived in Franklin, which is about like 20 minutes south from Nashville. And then this past year, we moved up to Nashville.
You guys got like old school band house, Allman Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's kind of, we just jam all day and write and do the basic, like, hard grind band stuff.
And do you have an actual house or an apartment? Are there neighbors?
It's a house, yeah. But yeah, there's neighbors, but they're super cool about it. Like one of our neighbors, he encourages it, which is a good thing.
It's funny because when I was growing up, either you had to live in LA or New York, but mostly LA to get things popping off. Mm-hmm. And I mean, of course, there were scenes over the years like Seattle or San Francisco, mm-hmm. or, stuff like that. But now I definitely say this: if you want to play music and you want to take it serious, you got to play out in Nashville.
Yeah. I mean, when we were up and coming, there was a lot of different scenes in Nashville. Obviously you have the Broadway stuff, which is, the singer songwriter, the country stuff. But then in like the underground, is really at that time, like around 2015, 2016, it was mostly like underground punk kind of scenes and indie. That was the main kind of Nashville scene. We loved that scene, but we kind of wanted to do something different rather than just like the punk thing or the indie thing, which we love, but just something different,
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's loaded with rock and rollers now. I mean, Brad Whitford, Jay
mm-hmm.
Buchanan from the Rival Sons was living out there for years.
Yeah.
And you have all kinds of rock and roll out there. And you have a way more broad spectrum of music now. It's not just that, country western or the pop country or any of that. It's the music world, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. It's any street you go to or any restaurant, it's different music everywhere you go.
Yeah, one of my favorites of all time is out there right now, Marcus King.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
he's awesome.
yeah, he's a
Yeah, I saw
monster.
him. I saw him a few years ago on Live on the Green
Yeah.
before COVID, and I remember he just blew my mind.
Yeah, what a player and songwriter and singer. And then Dave Cobb, who's really to me the producer, just genius out there. He's the new Rick Rubin, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah, I mean that's a praise. Rick Rubin is a genius.
Absolutely, but what Dave Cobb has done with all the groups that he's worked with has just been unreal. His track record. Now, I first heard you guys, I don't know, about a month ago, whenever the new video dropped, if your name's New York.
Mhm.
And immediately what I recognized from it right away was, and this was kind of the formula of the 80s, if you had a crushing ballad, you were going to get somewhere.
Mhm.
If you look at all the great 80s, Sweet Child of Mine, I'll Be There for You, Bon Jovi, you had to have the monster ballad.
Mhm.
And if you didn't, you weren't going to go to the next level, which is interesting to think about, because that was where it was going to cross over. Dudes wouldn't admit that they liked the ballad, but they really did. And
Mhm.
girls loved it. So you grabbed both of them. So you guys have a monster tune here, man. And
Thank you.
I think that is one of the things that's going to separate you from what they call the quote unquote rock revival, which I always think is kind of funny. And that's something that the Rival Sons and Marcus King have. They have incredible songs.
Yeah, especially Rival Sons, like they just bring a whole new type. I've seen them live once at the Basement in Nashville, and they just brought a whole new energy to it, and I didn't even know existed.
Yeah. Well, I think they're a lot like not the similar style of Jane's Addiction, but where Jane's Addiction came around in the 80s and
Mhm.
just, they were like, oh, hey, we're completely different. But
Yeah,
the same kind of crowds were listening to Jane's Addiction, were listening to Guns N' Roses. So
yeah,
it's you have to have some depth in your band. And what I see missing in a lot of the bands that are in this revival right now that they're pushing is the songwriting is not there. It's just like they throw some riffs together and a hey you
yeah.
and they're off to the races. But I listened to the EP and there's some great songs on this thing, man. Really, really good songs. I was checking out Wolves, which
Uh-huh.
I think definitely has kind of a Love Bone flavor.
Really? Like Mother Love Bone?
The vocals are a little Andrew Woody, which I thought was cool.
I could totally see it. I mean, I never really would have thought of it, but now that you mention it, yeah, I mean, I definitely get that. I can get that style for sure. I know Chris is our lead singer, when he wrote that, I know he was going for more of that like Jeff Buckley
Yeah.
kind of vibe. But I think really what makes that song is the bass or the rhythm section, really. And it's just, yeah, it's a great tune.
Let's get into it a little bit about how you guys started, because it's funny to think about. First of all, I always love when people go, look how young they are. And like any band right now. And I'm like, hey man, in the 80s, they were young.
Yeah.
Like, you're just looking at them now because they've been around this long, but they were 18, 19, Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses. They weren't 30s and 40s. They were like
Oh, yeah. Early 20s
20.
or yeah.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
hilarious that people always like to point that out. But what I do want to point out is how hard it could be these days in the world of DJs and hip hop and everything, is to find four guys that are willing to play rock and roll and that love rock and roll. So how did that happen?
Well, so we all met in Franklin. We were actually in a band with another guy. It was a completely different band, but at the time, Tame Impala was a huge thing, and we really were in that like kind of psych kind of vibe. And then it kind of just kind of got dated, at least for me. That's when I started gravitating towards more like blues and the Allman Brothers. And then so I left And then Chris actually left sooner thereafter. And then we kind of just jammed on like old blues standards. Like Stevie Ray Vaughan was a huge one. Like he would be on the drums and I'd be on guitar. And then finally we were like, dude, we could do like a blues band. And we're like, yeah. And then we didn't know any other players except, you know, Landon, Bo, and the other guy we were in a band with. And we just decided we'll just take Bo and Landon, and it ended up working out. And you know, at first it was heavy blues kind of stuff for the first cycle. You know, we were really into that live '60s and '70s stuff, like Fillmore East, Live Dead by the Grateful Dead.
Oh yeah, killer.
And like Song Remains the Same by Zeppelin, and just a lot of that old kind of stuff when we were like 16 or 17. Then we won when we were 17, we won this Battle of the Bands concert, which helped us get into the we won it, and then the prize was you got a week of recording at this studio called Dark Horse Studios in Franklin. And so that's where we recorded our first album. And you know, we really didn't know what to, because that was our first time in a big studio, so we kind of just really did the live kind of thing. And then as time progressed, you know, we really started listening to more music, not just that 60s and 70s, because I think where a lot of people go wrong nowadays is they only want to listen to the 60s and 70s
right
kind of stuff. There's not like, they can't find any gems or in the 80s and 90s, which there's a lot. And even like in the 2010s too, like this next songwriting thing we're doing now is heavily influenced by like, you know, Kendrick, his To Pimp a Butterfly album, or Miss Lauryn Hill from Miseducation.
That's a smoking record. One of the greatest records made in the last 20 years.
I agree. I absolutely love Lauryn Hill. And then Pet Sounds too. That one's been a big one for us as well, but that's, you know, more 60s. But
it is funny you say that, because I'm not quite sure if it's where a group will have a little bit of success with a flavor and then get locked in from their manager or whatever label they're with, of like, we need more of this, and then they never grow. And I start to call them like tumbleweeds, you know, they're just blowing around in the, like, you know, the old days, you know. And if you can grab all kinds of flavors, but make it rock and roll, which Rival Sons has done. You cannot, you know, box them in at all. And it's great to hear your EP, because there are the rock flavor, of course, but it's definitely got some good depth to it. It's not just, you know, Camaro rock, you know. And I can tell that probably it'll get better and better, you know, because hopefully bands grow. And I mean, you know, look at some of the greatest bands. I mean, let's say G&R, you go from Appetite to the Illusion records, totally a growth. Maybe some people wanted Appetite over and over and over, but they're like, nah, check this shit out, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think as an artist, it's your duty, or it's your job to grow.
Now, let me ask you about label wise. I mean, you know, Jason Flom's a friend of mine, and he has Lava Records, and he, you know, signed Greta Van Fleet, and he's very fired up on finding rock. And I had him on the podcast, and he was like, send me any rock, everybody out there, DM it to me. I'm down to find and build a great, not just a, you know, that, like very, very specific to him and to myself, are people that play instruments and people that write their own music. It doesn't have to be like quote unquote rock and roll, but hey, where's the guys that, I mean, you know, play it and kill it on their instruments, you know? So what happened with you guys? You won the Battle of the Bands, you go in and do a record, and then does a major label come find you?
No, so that was that when we did that record, you know, that was independently released, and we kind of just played those songs for the next year. And as we noticed, we were getting, you know, a lot tighter, and then our manager, he found some people, and they knew some people, and then it kind of just all became, you know, it all just kind of formed, and then we ended up writing, you know, the EP songs in a few months, and then we shipped it off to our producers to see if they were into it, and they loved it. And you know, we went down to Detroit where they are located at, and we recorded the EP there.
What was done on tape? Is it a Pro Tool studio? What is the studio?
It was Pro Tools, but they did have some tape stuff.
That's cool. Now, what about, I feel, and this is, I think, really crucial these days, is I feel the EP is the only way to go because of the ADD world. It's gotten back to almost the 50s, Buddy Holly era and Big Bopper and Richie Valens and all those guys, where, or even Motown, where you just release singles and a short amount of, like I'm a comedian and people are like, when are you going to record your hour? And I'm like, I'd rather just record 15 minutes and let people try to soak that in when they're not looking at their phone, So was an EP the choice of the label, or was it, you guys, or a combo of like, let's just get some tunes out there and start, building it?
Yeah, it was both the label and us. We felt it would just be a smart move just to get our names out there, through a label and see if the songs hit. And, thankfully they did. I mean, the 3 singles we released have been very well received. And so I think that was the best thing to do for us, at least for just the EP. And I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your guitar tone, your guitars you're playing, your influences and all that. How do you start out as a young guy? What gets you into it? Is your dad like a rocker? How do you get into the guitar? Because it's hip hop era when you're alive.
So I mean, all through elementary and middle school, and even my first year of high school, I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it was all hip hop there.
Of course.
And so, and I loved it, and I mean, I still love it because it's my childhood. But we moved to Nashville when I was 13, 14, going into freshman year of high school, and then my mom just got me a guitar for Christmas. Because my uncle played and no one else played, but she just thought, since I wasn't really into sports as much as I used to be, she just thought it'd be a better hobby. And then at the time I was really into the actor River Phoenix.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What got you into him?
Yeah. One of my favorite actors, and he played guitar, and that's really what got me into like learning it, And I was like, if I could just do a few chords, that'd be cool. But then my girlfriend at the time sent me Smells Like Teen Spirit, the music video.
There you go.
I remember watching that and just seeing Kurt Cobain like in that, the auditorium, the gym, and just seeing his face or his hair in his face, and just he looked so cool. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And from then on there, I just practiced as many like grunge and Nirvana stuff as I could. And then that's really what I wanted to do at first, was the grunge stuff. But then, I got into the blues and then like the Allman Brothers and stuff. And that's kind of how the influence came to be.
Well, those guys, especially Kurt Cobain, is, you look at some of these tunesmiths back then of like, Weezer, and Cobain, and these guys that are writing these incredible pop tunes with distortion that are catchier than hell. I mean, you cannot hear a Nirvana tune and just not sing it all day. And same with Weezer back then, with like the Sweater Song and the whole Blue album, and people were writing catchy, crazy songs that without the distortion would just be maybe, just kind of pop songs, and just killing it with the songwriting. So it was excellent that you started on that, because then you're understanding the formula. It's not like shred.
No, it's the biggest thing is melodies.
In the world of Instagram, where you just see these guys burning it up on the guitar, and I'm always like, yeah, that's cool, but where is the song? That's why we talk about Eddie Van Halen more than we talk about any of those burners. I mean, Yngwie, sure, but nobody can really name an Yngwie song, an average person, so you do have to have the song. So once you get going, are you a Dickie guy, or were you a Dwayne guy?
Dwayne, for sure. He got me in the slide, and that's what really started that whole kind of thing. And then Chris showed me the Black Crows, which was a huge influence on this EP that's about to release too. When we recorded it, the Black Crows were a huge influence. So, you know, that kind of slide, the really like Skinnerty Southern kind of Black Crows Stones vibe was really where we were at that point. But for the live show, you know, definitely that Allman Brothers stuff. Like Chris and I really try to channel our Dwayne and Dickie.
The Black Crows are one of the greatest bands of all time. I don't really listen much to the first record. It got me into them. It's kind of like, you know, like weed. And then you get into the hard drugs of, you know, Southern Harmony. And then the masterpiece of Morica, you know?
Yeah. I know that's Chris's.
Oh yeah.
Is Morica.
I think a lot of people shortchange Three Snakes. I think it's one of their greatest records. It's super dark and weird, you know?
I love Three Snakes.
Oh God, right?
Yeah.
So did you get a Les Paul or what happens?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, since we were really in that Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of stuff, I had my Strat, you know, but it was just like, it was a cheap Squire Strat, you know. But then at that point I was like, okay, I need a Les Paul, I need a Gibson because I want to get that sound. And finally, with saving up from dog walking, that was one of my jobs in high school, was I would walk this lady's dogs, and I just saved up for 5 or 6 months and went to Nashville, to the Nashville Guitar Center after school, and just bought a nice 90s cherry Les Paul that I still use today.
That's great. That's great. And then what, Marshall, or what kind of amp you use it?
So I use a lot of different amps. It kind of just depends on the room. Some nights I'll play with just a twin reverb.
Of course.
But then other nights, you know, I have a Marshall 4x12 with JBL D120s. Speakers are a huge nerd thing for me and Chris and I. And then I have a trainer head, which is like a twin reverb, and you know, in a head form, I guess. And then Fender Bassman. And then my amp guy right now is currently building me a 50-watt Marshall Bassman head. So that's what I'm hoping to use for this next 22 tour.
So once you guys get together, do you start playing like all over Tennessee, or how does it happen?
Well, we mainly sticked to Franklin at the time. That's where we were at, because we couldn't really get into a lot of the Nashville places because they wouldn't let us, because we weren't 21 or even 18. So we were sticking to the old clubs in Franklin, and pubs and bars, you know, we lived them. And then finally, when we turned like 17, 18, we started going to Nashville, but then also trying to hit spots around Tennessee, you know, like Illinois or Alabama, Mississippi. And then it was looking great. And then, you know, COVID, unfortunately. So. Yeah.
That's an interesting animal. Like, you guys are a new band, and you're starting to get going, and then COVID. It's not like a lot of bands, if COVID affected them, they might have 20 years, 30 years under their belt, so they can do stuff like records and put them out, or things where their fans are on it, you know. But with you guys, you're trying to build new fans. So how are you guys doing that? Are you guys doing any kind of Instagram or Zoom concerts or anything?
We've been doing a lot of shows. We were really grinding on shows from July up until October. I think our last show was in October 30th. And that we really, you know, got our set really tight for that, and just to really practice for 22, you know. But as of right now, you know, we're taking a couple month break just before the tour in 22.
What are you guys going on tour? Where are you going? Just everywhere?
All through the US, and we're trying to work through for Europe.
Wow. And is it just a headlining club tour, or are you going to be opening for anybody?
I think both. I mean, I think it kind of just, some gigs are, hey, you want to open for this band, or then others will be like, hey, you can headline.
Now, are you guys working day jobs? What's happening?
Yeah, so Landon and I are our drummer. We're doing driving jobs right now, like delivery, just to get out of the house and just, you know, see nature and deliver food.
Yeah. Like Uber delivery or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how about the other guys? They working?
Chris is not. No, he's currently in Cleveland with his family for the holidays. I think he's doing some writing too. And then Bo is he's a waiter at this Irish pub.
That's the real deal right there. You know, it's just like, you got to have multiple grinds going on these days if you want to play music or do any kind of art. And you got to, and there's no shame in that game at all. People are like, oh man, I'm not getting a day job, man. It's like, yeah, well, you're not going to make it. Because
True. Yeah. I mean, we had that mentality when we were 16. We're like, we don't need a job. But then definitely, like, especially during COVID, we're like, okay, we need to get some fun somehow.
Well, yeah, if you don't, man, people quit. People quit the band, and then all of a sudden you lose the chemistry. Guys are like, dude, I'm just tired of starving, man.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is some kind of reality in it and some balance, and also I think that when you go on tour, you're going to play your ass off because you don't want to get back in that car.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to give it up every night.
Mm-hmm. Give it all, like 1,000%. Yeah.
Now, how long it take to record the EP? A couple weeks, a week, or how'd you guys do it?
It took about 4 days, I think.
Yep.
I think the first 2 days was mainly just full band tracking, and then next day was guitar overdubs, and then next day was Chris vocals.
That's great. That's great. Now, what about some of the other newer bands other than Marcus King? Who are you guys listening to?
I mean, I'm listening to not as many bands, at least in the newer, or at least like now. I'm listening to a lot of like hip hop now or pop. Like I've been listening to a lot of Lemonade by Beyonce. Actually, I think that song or that album goes hard. But in terms of bands, there's like our label mates, the Georgia Thunderbolts, are great. Greta Van Fleet, they're awesome. And we played a lot of shows with this other band called Magnolia Bayou, and they're very tight. They're really good.
You guys play a lot in Nashville. Like, how does that work? Because back when I was playing gigs in your hometown, you would gig like once a month because you don't want to burn out the draw. You know what I mean? And then later on, we were like, fuck that. We're playing every night anywhere. You know what I mean? We'll play anywhere. But that was kind of the game plan, slowly build this draw up and a buzz. How do you guys do it these days?
Now it's definitely play probably 1 or 2 shows a month in Nashville. Like, I think how you worded it was perfectly. You just don't want to burn the fans out too much, Yeah.
You guys, is Exit In still there?
Yeah, it is, I think.
You guys ever play there? I played there before.
We have not. We've played The End, Mercy Lounge, Cowan, but we have not gotten Exit In yet. Hopefully soon, though.
So what's it like as a band house? You guys share bedrooms, or how much is the rent out there? I'm just trying to get an idea for other bands that are out in the world, trying to do this. What is a typical rent for a house out there in Nashville? Are you in East Nashville?
It's off. It's like 10 minutes from Nashville. It's still in Nashville, but it's like 10 minutes away from the city. But we pay about $2,000 a month. And we just split it. It's a nice 4-bedroom.
Wow.
House. We just split it down the middle,
That's a great deal. And then do you rehearse in the garage or in the living room?
Oh, we actually rehearsed at our manager's house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've tried rehearsing at our house, but we found that we're not as we don't work as hard at our house. It's more of like, we got to get to work. Let's go to this place so we can actually get to work, and then we'll go home and chill out. But when you're at home rehearsing, at least for us, it's I'm just gonna,
I'll be in a minute.
yeah, exactly.
Now, how many days a week do you guys rehearse?
We tend to rehearse 4 to 5 times.
That's great. It's old school, man. You just play. How about, did you see the Skinner documentary? Those guys just play 12 hours a day, dude. Down there at that swamp shack.
Yeah, the shack. Yeah. I wish we could do that. Like, just that, being in a shack in the middle of nowhere and just writing songs by, a river just seems so good. So awesome.
How does the writing work? Is the singer do most of the writing, or does everybody do the writing?
So Chris, our singer, it's between, at least for the first run, it was usually between just him and I. I would come up with a guitar part, or he'll come up with a guitar part, and then we'll work together, and then we'll write out like melody lines and lyrics and stuff. and then we'll bring it to the band, the rest of the guys, and work it out and see if they like it. And then if they do, you know, we'll make some different changes if it needs to be. But some songs are just, you know, how they were written is how they are now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's sometimes they just magically come out perfect, you know. I really like this what is this one? Dawn to the Devil or Down to the Devil.
Yeah.
Down to the Devil, man. That thing's that thing's a rocker, man. That thing's a punch in the face, you know. It's got some Aerosmithy kind of flavor, you know, super riffy.
Yeah, at the time when we wrote that, The Dirt just came out.
Oh wow.
With Motley, and so we watched that probably 4 or 5 times that month, just all of us as a band. And Landon and I were in California at the time when Chris sent over the riff, and he's like, hey, I kind of got this like Motley Crue like kind of vibe going, tell me if you guys like it. And then right when he sent it and we watched it, we're like, we need to get to work on that. So we got home and then we just went to work, and it was written in like 20 minutes, and then it's pretty much the same as how you hear it now. It was one of those. Yeah, it was right in 20 minutes and it's good.
Yeah, that's like a good fucking show opener, man. You know what I mean? Just a punch in the face.
Yeah. That's definitely my favorite song to play live from the EP.
Yeah, yeah. You could tell it's just a smoker, you know?
Thank you.
How did your manager find you and the label? How did this happen?
So our manager is actually Kevin Riley. He is my mom's younger brother.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's very successful in his sales job, and he can sell anything. And so he came up to us, and he loves rock and roll. He's like, dude, you guys sound good. Like, would you care if I manage you? Like, I can try and hook you up at some nice gigs or nice concerts and try and get you hooked up. And we're like, yeah, absolutely. And then it just kind of started going to Kevin knows someone, and then they know someone. And then it kind of just all, like I said, it just unfolded, and we ended up getting the contact for the label, and we had a little showcase, and that's what happened.
Wow. Now, what label is it?
It's Mascot Records.
And they're a rock label out of Detroit?
They're out of Amsterdam, but they have multiple locations. They have, I know, one in New York, Amsterdam, and London, I think.
Yeah. And what's a record deal look like these days? Is it the 360 deals I hear about still going on, or what? How does?
No, yeah. So it wasn't a 360, which was good. Yeah. So it was a pretty good deal from what I've read.
Yeah. From what I've read.
From what I've read. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. You're going to be playing in LA.
Oh, we want to. I know. Like our drummer was just there last week, and yeah, LA is one of our favorite places.
Yeah, there's some good venues here to play, man.
Do you have any good venue recommendations?
Well, the Troubadour is fantastic. It's like one of the greatest venues. That's one of the places I always see bands kind of first when they seem to start to get a buzz, say the Strokes, White Stripes, whatever. As a rock band starts to get buzz, it seems like they eventually, Marcus King was in there when he really started buzzing. He played 2 nights there, and it was just unreal, Yeah. And that's great. Of course, the Whiskey is a classic.
Yeah, I would love to play there.
It is a damn classic. The owners are amazing. The Booker Jake is great. That's a great room. And then, a lot of great rooms in the east side of Hollywood, East Hollywood, I forget the one downtown. It's great though. Something like the National or something. It's this great room. So there's some good rock clubs in town, and people are going out to see live music. I mean, it's kind of still hoopty right now because of COVID, but people will go see rock in LA, which is pretty cool.
That is really nice to hear.
Yeah.
I'm glad that that's a thing.
Yeah. It is. Now you guys are getting some airplay. I don't really listen to the radio. I listen to Sirius XM. So are you guys, the singles getting some good play? Because this ballad's got to be on the radio.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of good play in Europe and Italy. I know Italy, like we were top, I think Down on the Devil is like the top number 1 for like 2-3 weeks in a row. So
wow.
Yeah, so that we're getting some really good reviews in Italy and Europe. but I'm not sure if we hit the U.S. market yet for radio airplay.
That's how the Rival Sons did it. That's how the Strokes did it. That's how Kings of Leon did it. You know, they hammered Europe.
Yeah, Europe loves rock and roll from what I hear.
They love rock, and they stick with it too.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll stick with a band all the way to the end. You know, they don't just, bail. But that was really the formula of the early 2000s. If you were a rock band, you went to Europe and just pounded it until America caught on.
Yeah. I mean, that still sounds like it. I think it's still like relevant today.
Yeah. So no US airplay yet on these songs?
No, not as right now. Not as right now. No.
That's fucking insane, man. It's really weird how they'll play one rock band, say Greta Van Fleet, but they won't play other rock. You know, it's they'll play classic rock and then they'll go, here's a new band, but then they won't slowly start bringing other bands in. It took a long time for radio to play Rival Sons, and then boom, look, they had a number one song in the rock radio.
Yeah, now they're on tour with Greta.
Yeah. So these guys, these radio people, talk about tumbleweeds themselves, the programmers. They just like, I mean, I don't know. The old days, he just, brought a bag of Coke and some money to the DJ, and he just started playing that shit, Yeah.
Well, I think the label is trying to get the US airplay for the spring for when the EP actually releases.
Well, that's wise because, you want to get the whole thing lined up. So you get some airplay. The record drops February 15th, 11th, February 11th. And then you announce a tour, and then it could start to snowball. So yeah, you don't want to waste it. But the video got to me, and I sent it to some friends immediately, and we we're like, this is a great song, great video. Now, do you guys have a YouTube channel?
We do, yeah. Just Naked Gypsy Queens, and then it just pops right up.
What about the band name? How does it come about? It's band names are the hardest ever, right?
Yeah. So we, when Chris and I were starting the band, we really we didn't know really what to do, and then we were driving one day and we were listening to Electric Ladyland by Hendrix.
Yeah.
And listening to that and Band of Gypsies by him, and then Chris just out of the sudden just said, hey, what if it was just Naked Gypsy Queens? And I was like, that's pretty cool. And then, so the main influence we got from that was Hendrix and like his song Gypsy Eyes and Band of Gypsies and stuff.
How great is the Band of Gypsies? Buddy Miles, Billy Cox, Machine Gun. Machine on. Gun.
Yeah.
The Fillmore version.
Yeah. I wish I could have seen Hendrix play live, especially Band of Gypsies with Buddy.
Yeah. My buddy saw him, but he's old. I mean, I'm old. I'm 55. He's way older than me. He saw the New Year's gig.
Yeah.
Just imagine. Whenever I talk to him, I go, "Hey, what's the best show ever?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, Hendrix, Band of Gypsies." This never waves off that. He's seen everybody.
Yeah, I mean, well, even just those those rock shows at the Fillmore back then.
Oh yeah.
Like just that like how they set up their amps and the sound. I just don't. You can't recreate that anymore, unfortunately. Like how Hendrix had like so many cabs and just just blasting it.
Yeah, they're just playing on 100. That the guitars aren't even in the house. It's only the vocal in the house because the guitars and bass and drums are so loud.
Yeah, I wish you could still do that.
Oh my God. You barely show up with a deluxe reverb and they're like, can you turn it down?
Oh yeah, that's because when we were 16, 17, we really couldn't concept why it was bad to turn up our amps. So then when they would tell us to turn down our twins from when we had them at like 3, they would tell us to turn it down more. And we're like, why? Like the best sounding amps are when you crank it up,
Yeah. It's a whole different world now, man. It's just kind of like, turn them down, get a pedal, get some in-ears,
Exactly,
I ain't getting my tone. It's like, well, you got to figure it out because these people are crazy too. They're like, it's too loud.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're at a rock show. Are you into Dead & Co?
I haven't really. I love the Grateful Dead. I love John Mayer.
Yeah, he's
But I haven't
great.
really listened to a lot of. Yeah, I saw him live for his Search for Everything tour, and he just blew my mind. But I haven't listened to a lot of Dead and Co. now. But from what I hear, they're awesome.
Oh yeah, you got to see him, man. You got to see him because they really got it going on now. You know, like after all these years, it's smoking, man. And
Mhm.
do you guys do any kind of Dead Allman Brothers type jamming live? Do you
Oh
stretch
yeah.
out the tunes?
Oh yeah. We usually play Whipping Post, the Fillmore version. We'll play that 23-minute. Yeah. We have had that like ace down to a T.
Wow.
But then earlier when we started out, we would play Dark Star a lot and just kind of noodle jam, but we really didn't know what we were doing. But now it's mostly like we write out our jams, if that makes any sense. Like we can take it anywhere, but there's foundations of where we want to start out and where we want to end and stuff.
Well, that's more the Allman Brothers. You got two types of jamming. You got the Allman Brothers, and then later the Black Crows,
Mm-hmm.
Amorica era. And then you've
Yeah.
got the Dead, which is kind of space jams and all that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely two types. And I enjoy both. But it is interesting when you say the Warren Haynes era of Allman Brothers, boy, when they get some of those jams going, you know,
Yeah.
this is like, wow.
Well, even with
man.
Derek Trucks is just
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
like that last show that the Allman Brothers played at the Beacon Theater. Derek Trucks just he rips.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love Warren, man.
Yeah, Warren's good too. They're all good.
It'd be great to see you guys and Marcus King together. That'd be a cool bill.
Oh yeah, definitely. We would love to open up for him or even just jam with him.
Yeah, yeah.
Like wouldn't even have to be a full bill. Just if we could just play one song with him, I think that would be incredible.
Have you met Mark over there at Gibson yet? Mark Agnesi? Have you gone over to the Gibson garage?
I haven't, no. I've been meaning to go to the Gibson garage, but I just haven't had time.
Oh yeah. Go over there. Tell him I sent you. Ask for Mark. And
Okay.
He's an old friend of mine. And go in there, man, and start making some noise because they're doing cool things. They're doing video and they like supporting young rock bands. So I would definitely make some noise if I were you.
Okay.
And you guys got an Instagram?
Yeah, we do. It's just Naked Gypsy Queens.
And how about you got the YouTube channel? That's Naked Gypsy Queens.
Mm-hmm. And we got a website too, just nakedgypsyqueens.com. And it has everything from merch to pre-ordering our new EP.
That's great. And they can see the videos on there.
Mm-hmm.
And the EP comes out on February 11th. It's 5 songs. It's really good, man. It's really good.
Thank you.
Like I said, it's got some depth. It's got some great songs and some good flavor on there. That's not just your old standard rock thing, you know. And I was immediately like, yeah, let's get these guys on and get the word out there, you know. So congrats on that. And what are you gonna do? Are you gonna do a full length eventually?
Yeah, so we're in the process. We've written about 20 or 30 songs over this past year since COVID and the band house and stuff. And we demoed them all and we sent them to our producers, and we're trying to work out some dates to get back up to Detroit and do a full length album.
Who are the producers? Is it the guy that the Kid Rock guitar player?
Yeah, Marlon Young. Marlon Young, Al Sutton, and Herschel Boone. They actually did Greta Van Fleet's first 2 albums too. So that's how we found out about them, and they brought it. Everything in that record is just all Detroit, and they love rock and roll, and it's good.
Well, that guy killed it on the Greta Van Fleet EP. Really killed it. And I was always wondering why that Greta Van Fleet steered away from that, because it seemed that the songwriting was at a fucking fierce level with that guy. And I was wondering if he maybe co-wrote or whatever, or he really kept him focused, because that EP was stunning and that guy really, really kicks ass. So that's a great guy to be working with.
Oh yeah, he's incredible. He actually did the slide guitar parts on New York on the chorus.
Wow.
I remember we walked in like at 7 a.m. and he was just in the room already, just recording the slide, and we're like, that sounds so good.
Wow.
And then Herschel, he was our Chris's vocal coach, and he also added background harmonies on Georgiana. And Al was just, you know, our mixing god. The
Wow, that's
engineer.
cool. They're like a team, huh?
Yeah, perfect trio.
Wow, that's really cool, man, because they definitely know what they're doing. That guy
Mhm.
doesn't play with Kid Rock anymore, huh?
I'm not sure. I thought he did, but
I didn't know.
I haven't heard from Rock.
Yeah,
or
I
Kid Rock.
haven't either. So I was just wondering if like he didn't play with Kid Rock anymore and just made records now because
I think he usually does the live stuff too.
right.
With Kid.
Awesome. Well, great talking to you, man.
Great
And
talking to you.
you know, have Chris come back when the record when you drop a full length, and when you come to LA, hit me up. I'll come to the show.
Hell yeah. Well,
That's
thank
great.
you, man.
Are you into comedy? You go see comedy at all?
Yeah, we actually saw what's his name? It's the dude from The Office who plays Daryl. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I never saw The Office. Isn't that weird?
Craig Robinson.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Yeah, we
Craig's
saw
fantastic.
him at we saw that was my first comedy show.
Wow.
And we saw him at Zanies.
Oh, Zanies is great, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, I love laughing. I think comedy shows are great.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's cool, man. Well, I'm out in Nashville sometimes. So when I'm out there, come out and see a show, bring the
Yeah, I would
band,
love
put
to.
you guys on the list. Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for doing the show.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
congrats on this. And everybody check it out. They got a new video out right now. If Your Name Is New York, great ballad. Killer song Wolves on this thing, Down to the Devil. This is a great EP, and it's some fierce rock right there. So everybody spread the word, grassroots, old school style, and let people know there is way more than one band out there playing rock and roll these days. And I love telling people about it and having people on. So thank you so much for doing the show, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, and hit me anytime.
All right, sounds good.
All right, I'll see you, man.
All right, have a good day.
Later.